So the law of demand and supply. There are 7 laws of demand and supply. The first law is that the law states that under the ceteris paribus condition, the lower the price of commodity, the greater the quantity demanded. So when you try to sketch out the graph, its graph would appear like this. So we have the price in the left hand side, and we have the quantity demanded as well. So we have the price 1, price 2, and we have the quantity 1 and quantity 2. So the first law tries to demonstrate that under certain paribus, when the lower the price of a commodity, the greater the quantity demanded. This means that when the price is low, more quantity demanded increases. Most of the consumers tend to increase consumption on a certain commodity. But this is actually a loss for a producer, because the producer normally intend to maximize her profit by selling at high price. So when the price level decreases from P2 to P1, we observe to see the quantity demanded increases from Q1 to Q2. And when the price increases, now the price increases, now the quantity demanded tend to decline. So for that case now we observe to see the co-effect on the supply side. So the second law, the law states that under ceteris paribus condition, the higher the price of commodity, the greater the quantity supplied, and the lower the price, the lower the quantity that will be supplied. So we observe the graph would appear like this, and we have the price in the left hand side, and we have the quantity supplied. So under the second law states that under ceteris paribus condition, when the price is higher, the commodity, the greater the quantity supplied, and if and the lower the price, now the lower quantity that will be supplied. This means that most of the producers tend to be encouraged to supply more because of higher price, because they know they are in the high profit. But in another side, consumers tend to decrease the demand due to the increase in price. So the supply curve, this kind of second law graph is demonstrated. You see the supply curve is going above, as you can observe. So when the price increases, supply increases. So when the price shifts from P1 to P4, quantity supply increases, and when the supply decline, the quantity supply decline also as well. So that is how the second law operates. So the supply is actually affected by the quantity supply will be affected with the movement of the increase of price or decrease of price. The third law states that at the equilibrium price, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. The third law states that at the equilibrium price, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. So at the equilibrium price, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. This means that the quantity and supplies, what is actually produced, the quantity supplied is proportional to the settled price in the market. So is where now you see the demand curve cut across is the supply curve. So that shows the equilibrium level at that point, whereby supply curve cut across the demand curve. That is PS is equal to QS. So the quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded. The first law states that an increase in demand will lead to an increase in the price. That will lead to an increase in quantity supplied, assuming that the supply remain constant. So And the first law is trying to explain that any increase in demand will lead to an increase in price. So whenever the increase in demand increases from Q1 to Q2, we observe also the price to increase. Actually, this is a notion whereby most of the producers knowing that if people consume more, this means that they are in need of that particular commodity. So the producers look for an opportunity now to sink and to increase the price by knowing that actual what they are selling is actually needed by the mass. So when the price now, when the quantity demanded increases, is where now the producers tend to increase more price of those particular goods and services. So as you can observe now, the graph will be looking in that mode. The fifth law states that a decrease in demand will lead to a decrease in price that will result into a decrease in quantity supplied, assuming that the supply remains constant. Now, if the supply remains constant at the assumptions, this actually tend to explain as when the demand decreases, this gives an indicator or an actual a signal to most of the producers to think that why they are producing why their goods produced are not consumed by many of the consumers. This is because maybe they're in poor quality or their price is high. So then they take an indication to decrease the price is so as they can attract more of most of the consumers. So actual the graph will be looking like this. So when the price falls from when the demand decreases from Q2 to Q1, now producers, also suppliers, tend to lower down the price so as to attract the mass, so as to attract the consumers. So if the demand decreases from D1 to DDO, so this means that it will reinforce now the producers to think to decrease price so as they can attract consumers and not make a loss, and they can attain even something richer through their business. So also the sixth law states that an increase in supply. The sixth law states that an increase in supply will lead to a decrease in the price that will result into an increase in the quantity demanded. An increase in supply will lead to a decrease in price that will result in increase in quantity supply demanded. How is it? There is a possibility for producers to actually think on how they can attract more consumers and make high profit. This could be a way to them that if they look the condition to see if they actually see the condition that many of the consumers like their products, most of the consumers like their product, they may think to increase supply more so as to attain more profit. And if they increase more supply and what they increase is actually consumed by consumers, this will be a benefit for them, so they may think to reduce price. And this could be also a benefit to consumers because they'll be consuming commodities or buy a certain commodity at a lower price. So this graph is shown like this, as you can observe. So when the price, when supply increases now we observe to see the price level go down. And if the price of the commodities go down, that is what is actually more likely by consumers. So we tend to experience to see the consumers increase more consumption from the Q1 to Q2. The seventh law states that a decrease in the supply will lead to an increase in price that will result to a decrease in quantity demanded. You could ask, is this kind of condition could happen in the market? Is it possible to happen in the market? In some rare cases, it can happen, but in actual, this comes because consumers tend to observe to see that what is the actual sold is actual high needed for the consumers. So whenever there is a decrease in supply, this means that if most of the consumers are not capable to produce in the same quantity because of lack of capital or lack of a particular resources, and if there are few firms that are capable of producing that at high cost, this means that this may be a way for such kind of producers to actually increase prices level whenever there is a decrease in supply. In coronavirus condition, you can observe that it could be maybe difficult for a consumer to produce a certain quantity at a required time at a minimum amount. So whenever there is a decrease in supply of a particular commodity, consumers tend to increase high price so as to make high profit, but also to maximize and to overcome the cost of production that may occur during the production process. So it's graph to show that at that minimum amount of price, whenever there is an decrease in supply, now price goes from P1 to P2. So when the price increases, we observe to see that there will be a decrease in quantity demanded from Q2 to Q1, as you can observe.